Jamie from Inky&Scrappy, sharing with you today a Reveal Wheel Road Trip Car Critter add-on. It does a little bit differently than you would think for the Car Critter set. I decided it would be fun to make the things on the top of my car switch out instead of the critters inside of it. I do want to see if I can do a double reveal wheel where the critters inside can be switched and the things on top, but I'm not there yet. That one's going to take a little bit more brain time. I think I have it figured out in my head, but I have to figure out how to make it work with my dies. Anyways, back to this one. So I'm taking the original reveal wheel and then the drop-in puzzle piece that comes with that original one and using that as my main piece here. And then I just needed to modify it a little bit. I cut a line straight across. I will end up cutting a little bit more later on, but I'm going to work on that reveal wheel feature to see if I can make it work. So taking that cutout, kind of lining it up with the stamped images on the stamp set and kind of seeing what is actually going to fit in my window. I really wanted to use the beach set. The beach set is just a little bit too big for that reveal wheel window. And because I haven't really decided who this card is going to, but I was kind of thinking maybe for my husband's birthday. It's coming up. And, well, you know, he's not a bicycler. I can't say that well, mine's currently, it has been broken for many years. It needs a new tire. Anyways, that's not here nor there. I decided not to use it, and I shot my stash for some other things. So there's some other possibilities with this one, because if you have any of the Plan On It sets, you could probably find some images to put in there. You could probably find some images from the other tiny stamp sets that you may own that would work on the top of a car too. But you know, this is me, and I wanted it to be, you know, it's got a little story. In my head, there's always a little story. That's just kind of how it goes. So I could have, so if you saw, I took a ruler and I kind of marked out my die, you know, where I wanted my placement on my top here. So they were all equidistant from that circle or from where my brad is going to spin. Hindsight is 20/20. Now, I could have taken the template for this particular die, or even, I think the Car Critter original add-on for the reveal wheel, like the Car Critter add-on, reveal wheel add-on, is that what it's called? Anyways, maybe would have worked just for placement, like just to give me the three, like where I would need for the three little spots to be. I had a little bit of trouble lining it up, and I ended up, I think one of my items is just a little off center, which it's not a huge deal. So I make it work in the end. But if you want to try this card, I would definitely urge you to try the reveal wheel template. I will probably do something like this one again and see if it works, and I'll let you know. You know, I'll probably record it. It happens. So anyways, because this one is me, I was digging through my stamp sets trying to find a little image that was going to work for on the third image on top of my car, because I just couldn't bring myself to put the bike on there. It's cute, it's just not me. And so I came across the Tiny Farm set, and there's this really cute little chicken in the Tiny Farm set. And if you follow me on Instagram, you know I have a love of chickens. I have 9 chickens currently. I already talked to my husband into getting guinea hens next year. Shh. We're not going to remind him. He just got done building my coop. Anyways, so the little tiny chicken was on there, and I thought, oh, that's hilarious and awesome all at the same time. So my third little thing is the chickens. I am bringing in the electric eraser from, I picked this one up at Hobby Lobby. I think it was like $5. It was fairly inexpensive, and it works really well to get rid of those pencil lines. I couldn't find my red rubber or my red eraser, so that one was the closest one at hand. So I'm just making sure that they're going to fit in there and I maybe didn't have it lined up quite perfectly. So I'm going to add in my little car critters here. I did stamp it 3 times. One, just because I'll probably make some more cards, and so this way I already have them stamped and ready to go. And just in case I mess up, it happens. So I have everything ready to color. I pulled out my colors. I'm actually using the same ones I used for my 1K Fab 5 Hop. And so that color combo, or that color map, is actually on my blog. Under the Ohuhu Color Combos tab, it is the one that is for the, I think it's the Doodle Bug Designs Winter Wonderland stamp pad. So I'm using those same colors. I tend to do a color map, and then I like to play with that color map on multiple cards for multiple times. I think it's just because they're all pulled, they're ready, they're there, they go together, and it saves me time when I'm deciding on color schemes. So I did bring in some browns for my bears here, and I decided my husband was driving this time because he's less animated when it comes to driving than I am. And normally I'm the one that drives, so it's not exactly yes, but it works. So for this one, I am coloring all of the things. So I'm keeping with the colors that I had already picked for my card, my color scheme, that sort of thing. Kind of matching the pattern paper that I've already pulled. And then I am bringing in a yellow just to add the feet and the beaks. And then continuing on with my coloring there. So, you know, road tripping is not our style. We like to travel via plane. It's faster and it gets us to where we're going. We don't get to vacation very often with farm life. And so I don't like to sit in the car for very long. And I like to move. So that's why we usually don't travel via car. But we do the cabin via car. And, you know, those luggage ones might be full of craft supplies, so it's probably a shopping trip, not really a flyaway trip. I guess we drive to the airport, so it works. Anyways, back to my card. So I did stamp the word cluck from that mini farm stamp set into the license plate. It fit! It just worked! Plus them little baby chicks, I thought it was pretty funny. Anyways, I'm bringing in a cloud stencil. I'm pretty sure this one is the mini clouds from My Favorite Thing stencil. I'm going very light-handedly with some Salvaged Patina here. Just because I don't want, yeah, see I got a little heavy-handed there, but I wanted it to be super light so I can go over my already colored images. Usually I would do that with like a dye ink because it's less likely to cloud over the top. But I felt I could get away with it on this one because they're so little and I really wasn't adding a whole lot. And so I'm kind of careful on my stencil placement here, kind of making sure that I go with the color above the image or just barely on the image, and then I'm keeping it inside that embossed line on my reveal wheel there, and then just adding a really light dot to the center, a little mark here and there, and then of course inside my car, so it kind of makes the scene go all the way through without really going all the way through, if that makes sense. I don't know. I probably should have found my die and cut that one out right away. It probably would have made my life a little easier here, but, you know, I like to be difficult. I am bringing in the new, is this one the road die? I don't know. It's new from Lawn Fawn. I am in love with it. I've made the road look like this before. It just takes a little bit more, you know, die cutting, or not die cutting, well, I think I die cut it. I think I even did die cuts with the angle on it. It just, you can do it without the die, but it's just easier with the die. So, of course, it was like one of the first ones I had to have. And so I'm going to cut another panel, but in black, with that reveal wheel rectangle. And then I'm just marking on here where I need my top to be. I really don't need it to be up that far because obviously my car is going to cover some of it. And so I just need to make sure that my car is going to be on the road. And of course, if you're like me, you're constantly looking for your supplies. So it's not going to be down as far as I need it to be. So to do this, I'm just going to selectively die cut. So I just lined up that top plate so it was just at the bottom of where my bottom, I guess, little dash in the road is. So it would cut that, but it wouldn't cut the bottom. And that gave me that perspective road plus a little bit of extra on the bottom. And so yes, it's not lined up perfectly. I maybe should have tried harder to make it line up perfectly. It really doesn't bug me a whole lot. It is what it is. So now I'm just trying to make sure that my images are all going to fit out. That fishing pole was just a little bit too long. And so in the end, I did cut a little bit more off of both sides, trying to get it to fit in my cutout a little bit better. Coming back in with whatever was left on my brush there to just kind of make sure it blended in well. I was looking for a brad. I swore I had one out, but I did not. So I went in the drawer, found a bitty brad. These ones came from close to my heart. I know they sell them at the craft store. I'm sure, you know, whatever brand you can find. As long as it's a bitty brad or a little brad. Bitty brads just give me more real estate on the back of my little circle here to put my foam adhesive. A regular, you know, a small size brad would be fine too. So I'm going to pop my double-sided adhesive on here. And try to line this up the best that I can in my little reveal wheel and hope for the best. Spoiler alert, I needed to peel it up and move it over a little bit. Only because my images aren't exactly center. If I would have used the other thing, it probably would have worked a little better. So before I get too far, I'm going to do this all at once because I suck at putting the reveal wheel on there and then trying to reline up my panel after the fact. So I figured if I already added my double-sided adhesive to the back of my panel and my reveal wheel all at the same time, except for that one corner, which is held on by some low-tack post-it tape, I can always just sneak under there and add my last little corner after I remove the post-it tape right here. And this is where I realized my chickens and my suitcases are off just a teeny tiny little bit. And I was going to be fine with it. I really was. I was just like, okay, fine. It is what it is. I'm just going to be okay with it. Because my, you know, for the most part, my camping gear is in the middle and it looks fine. Yeah. I'm telling you. When I think I can just let it go, and then I can't. I did cut off the top of my car, so I don't have that little white line there. So it looks a little bit more seamless when it comes to the images being on top of the car. Yes, when I cut my panel here, I did not cut it exactly right. I cut it, I think it was like way too short, or it moved. I think it moved when I ran it through because I didn't put the lovely little low stick tape on it, and so it wiggled a little bit, so then I had to recut it. And so of course when I recut it, I didn't have enough of that pattern paper to cut the whole panel, but it's not like it really mattered. I just needed it to, you know, cover the top portion or the side portion next to my road, so I made it work. The only ones that are going to know are you and me, because it's not like they're taking it apart. I'm going to add on some pink lines for this one. I thought about going with the white, but I thought the pink would be fun. It goes with my colored images. And it's a card. It doesn't really matter. Or it's a card. It really doesn't matter if it's white and yellow and all of those things. I will add that onto my card base here. And that's when I decided I just couldn't do it. I had to move it out just a little bit. And I think it was because the circle to get to the reveal wheel part, it was just over too far. I wanted to move that part over just a little bit. And I figured if I centered my other two images, that reveal wheel was a little easier to grasp on the side there. Granted, my camping stuff isn't quite centered now, which was okay. I made it work. And I was able to pull it up without any issue. I did do some glue to make sure that my reveal wheel circle stayed on this time on those little foam adhesive pieces without, hindering the movement of my reveal wheel. So I'm going to pop the card up on some double-sided foam adhesive here, making sure not to put any on the top of the card where it overlaps that reveal wheel circle. And now all of my images spin around fairly centered on top of my card. And then I'm going to add some yellow glitter Nuvo drops. I think it's Yellow Bird. I don't think it was, yeah, I think that was Yellow Bird. I don't know. For my headlights there. And then I'm coming in and making some sentiment banners here. I'm just taking my blues and my purples and kind of doing darkest to lightest in the middle, so it coordinates with my cardstock or with my colored images and my card. So I decided on clucking Do What Makes You Happy, because the little chicks, So I'm going to cut this out with some simple sentiment banners. And yes, see how long those are? I'm actually showing you today how I do this. So sometimes I cut it all the way out. Sometimes I don't cut it all the way out. This time, because my second one was longer and because I did them at the same time, I just cut them both all the way out. And then I'm going to move them over, wrap it around to the backside so it's holding it. It's not going to matter because I'm only going to run through just the little tip part there, because I just need to get that little V. You could also just hand cut it at that point, but I like the look of it all being die cut. And then, of course, I changed my mind on placement, and I wouldn't have needed to do it that way anyways. It happens. I hemmed and hawed about placement for a long time. I liked the clucking on top, but I thought there was too much road down below. So ultimately, I did do the clucking on one side and then the Do What Makes You Happy on the other side. I know it's punny, and it's punny for a word that's probably not appropriate. Anyways, it's funny to me. I don't care. So I'm going to add that onto the bottom part there. Plus that goes with the baby chicks, and when you open it and the baby chicks aren't there, you're kind of like, what? It is what it is. I'm going to add a pink arrow to show that the reveal wheel needs to get moved. And then because I decided I needed a little bit more danger in my life and, of course, music, I decided to hand stamp my music notes on after the whole card was done. I like to live dangerously. And really, they all turned out except for my last one was kind of a little sketchy, but it was close enough to the top that I decided it was a fading away note anyways. It didn't matter. And there is my finished reveal wheel card featuring those fun road trip add-ons and some baby chicks. Anyways, I hope you have an amazing day. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, all the things. Thank you so much to all of my subscribers, and have an amazing day. Bye!